I wanted to take a moment today, ironically, it being what used to be Columbus Day, to celebrate one of the people who did not make it out of the fire in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1919. Excuse me, 1920. What year was it? 1921. Didn't make it out. Didn't make it out those 2 days that spanned what was Memorial Day. Ironically, all of those soldiers who was fighting for the life of Dick Rowland and not allowing him to be lynched set off a fire that had been smoldering for quite some time. They've been trying to get that oil. And those uppity blacks with their airplanes and fancy cars and clothes and dignity and hotels and movie theaters and all of the opulence, not really, fur coats and pianos, and how dare they live like that over there. This is our country. This is our country. And they literally burned it down. They literally burnt it down. And in the embers, among the flame, among the raging fire, was a man named A.C. Jackson. Dr. A.C. Jackson. And one of the characters last night, Monroe, Chalky White, a.k.a. Omar, a.k.a. Michael K. Williams, brilliant actor. My God, is he good? Is he good? He is so good. As he stood at that window and put forth those names. And I wrote all of them down because there's an African proverb that says, until the last day your name is spoken, you can never die. So I'm going to say Dr. A.C. Jackson today. Dr. A.C. Jackson, shot in the face, as Montrose, said. He was, Dr. A.C. Jackson, one of the most, quote, able Negro surgeons in America. And I would take out the Negro. The Mayo brothers, those who created the Mayo Clinic, called him the most able Negro surgeon in America because he treated patients of all races. And you got to know that he was badass, because white folk back then didn't want no black person touching them. Didn't want any black blood if it would save their life. That's how weird, stupid racism is. So you know he had to be an amazing surgeon, surgical. He uses, the kind of doctoring this man. So I'm going to go through it. Prominent among the Tulsans. He was 40 years old. He lived at 523 North Detroit Avenue in Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma. According to his white neighbor, former police commissioner, because he lived in that part of town, right near, buttressed up against the white neighborhood. Retired judge also said that Jackson had raised his hands to surrender a group of whites who had been responsible for burning down his neighborhood and killing people. And then he was himself shot dead, shot in the face, in what his white neighbor called cold-blooded murder. A.C. Jackson was born in Memphis, and I'm doing this because we've spent a lot of time learning history about people who didn't discover anything. And we erected statues to them, and we have holidays celebrating their life and their accomplishments when a lot of what they did was evil and bad. So let's tell the stories of people who were good. Dr. A.C. Jackson, born in Memphis. His father was a law officer. He graduated from Meharry, which was one of the few black colleges, medical schools in the country. That was in Nashville, Tennessee. He practiced in Tulsa, and then he trained as a surgeon in Memphis. He worked. His work was so brilliant that he was attracted by, the Mayo brothers brought him to work. 1919, he went back to Tulsa. So he worked with the Mayo brothers for a number of years, went back to Tulsa as a specialist in chronic diseases and surgery for women. That was his specialty. How powerful, how amazing, how valuable. And I think about the property that was lost in Tulsa. I think about all of the wealth that was lost in Tulsa. But what could have Dr. Jackson produced just by being? Who could he have inspired to become a doctor, to become a nurse, to become a surgeon like him in his community had he been allowed to live, if his face wasn't shot off that night by racists? He also lived around some amazing other physicians in that area, but he was the most celebrated. And I want to just spend a little time saying his name today. A.C. Jackson, Dr. A.C. Jackson. 866-801-8255 is the number, because we're intentional here. If I speak words out of my mouth, it's with an intent.